DMV, Neighborhood Chronicles, written by Jeff Copeland. Bullies, the story of Jerome Sticky Fingers Williams. My name is Jeffrey Carpenter, and I want to tell you a story about bullies and how I dealt with one particular bully. The year was 1985, and I was a middle school student at Benjamin Franklin Middle School. As a middle school student, I was a small kid, in stature, but big on heart, and never backed down from a fight. But I did understand when it was in my best interest to not get into a fist fight. I wore big glasses, and all my clothes were about 5 years too late as far as fashion trends were concerned. I knew when to shut up and walk another way home if I had to avoid getting my butt kicked by bullies. Dealing with bullies in PG County, Maryland is one of the worst things in the world, but also a part of life. In Marlow Heights, Maryland suburbs, we had some of the craziest bullies imaginable. We had many tough kids in our neighborhood who all had unique and dynamic personalities and always seemed to want to fight me. We had a black slender kid who was called Black because of his dark skin tone. We had another kid named Spider because of his long arms and legs. We had two twin brothers from Hawaii we called the Chase Brothers because they would chase you home and beat you up for no other reason other than they could. There also was Fat Eric, who was notorious for going into people's lockers during school and taking their lunches and snacks. We also had female bullies. Dongina Turner was a tall redhead girl who had a mean streak and would beat your ass if you looked at her wrong for any reason. She once knocked a girl's front tooth out during an after-school fight. One particular bully in particular was named Jerome Sticky Fingers Williams. Jerome was a short, stocky, big-eyed, wild-haired child with an insatiable interest in making sure every day he made some kid's day miserable. Jerome would take your lunch, tell a lie on you, take your toys, tell a lie on you, punch you in the face, and lie on you, etc., etc. Jerome once told my mother that I went to the local grocery store to steal toys when I actually was just going to buy a bag of chips. When I got back home, my mother and father and family all beat my butt based on the lie that Jerome told. Jerome, as far as kids go, was on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the worst. He was a solid 11. Jerome once took a teacher's purse while everyone was out for recess and robbed her of $10. Jerome was just an awful little boy, and he didn't brush his teeth either. His breath smelled like train smoke. Our classmates got fed up with Jerome after he one day took a wristwatch from Mary Larkin. Mary Larkin was a sweet girl who was from Arizona and new to our school and did not have many friends. Mary was doing her best to try and fit in and be a friend to her fellow classmates, but all Jerome saw in her was someone to rob and take something from, along with everyone else. It was business as usual for him. Jerome was very sneaky and a master thief and professional liar. One day during our physical education class, he pulled off a great caper that would forever change my life. As in most middle schools, you had to change out of your street clothes and put on the state-issued school gym uniform. Mary and the other girls changed their clothes and put their items in their lockers as normal. Mary left the locker room and went out to the gym to participate in our gym class. Jerome Sticky Fingers Williams asked our gym teacher, Mr. Davis, could he go to the bathroom. Mr. Davis okayed Jerome to go to the bathroom. Jerome quickly left the gym class and went straight to the girls' locker room and went through the lockers looking for anything he could steal. He took small items from the lockers and put them in a small towel he found in the locker room. Jerome then proceeded to take the items and put them in my locker in my book bag. Once gym class was over, all of the kids got dressed and proceeded to their next class. I then saw Mary in a state of panic out of the corner of my eye. She was frantically in the hallway searching her book bag, looking something. She then started to go through her pants pockets. Mary began pacing back and forth, and then broke down and started crying. The gym teacher, Mr. Davis, approached Mary to find out why she was crying and what could he do to help her. Mary explained that her watch was missing, and it was a gift from her father, who had died a year ago in a car accident. Mr. Davis then attempted to console Mary, but had no luck. Mary's cries grew louder, and other kids began to notice. This caught the eye of Jerome, who had the bright idea to tell Mr. Davis that he believed that the watch was stolen, and Mr. Davis should check everyone's bags starting with me. Mr. Davis, for obvious reasons, thought that was a good idea. He told me to come forward and present my bag. I didn't think anything of it because I was no thief, so why not let my bag be first to be searched? I presented my book bag to Mr. Davis, and immediately I was found to have the girls' stolen items in my bag. The only item found not to be in my bag was the stolen watch, which Jerome Sticky Fingers Williams kept for himself. I was immediately sent to the principal's office and threatened with suspension for 5 days if I did not present Mary's watch immediately. I explained that I did not know how those items got into my book bag and that I never went into the girls' locker room during gym class. No one believed me, and I was told to sit in the principal's office. The principal, Mrs. Vernest, called my mother and told her what happened. My mother, Florida Carpenter, a woman of about 35, and had a gold tooth, heart of gold, and walked with a limp, immediately came to my school to have a talk with me about stealing. When my mother, Florida, arrived at the school, she was mad and asked the school principal, Mrs. Veron, did she have a room where she could have private conversation with me? Mrs. Vernon took me and my mother to a janitor's closet where my mother asked me, point blank, did I steal the items? I said, Mother, I didn't steal anything. I am not a thief. My mother took off her shoe and told me if she caught me stealing, she would choke me out, and when she finished choking me out, she would wake me up and choke me again. My mother returned home, and I was returned to class after my mother and Mrs. Vernon agreed that I would stay after school and clean blackboards for a week. I was puzzled. How did the stolen items get into my book bag? Knew Jerome had something to do with it. When I returned to my 4th period English class, Mary stared at me the whole time with eyes that said, I am going to kill you when get the first opportunity. I did not know Mary personally at that time, but I knew Jerome Sticky Fingers Williams' work. I just knew he set me up. I had to prove my innocence, and how was I going to do it? By the close of the school day, everyone was calling me a thief and to hide your items when I came around. The teachers were even disappointed in me because of my being caught with stolen items in my book bag. What was I going to do about this? I could not fight Jerome. He was bigger than me and stronger than me, and had no physical weakness that I could exploit, but I could not let this slide. My reputation was slandered, and my character was under attack. I decided that I must find evidence that would exonerate me. How would go about this? When facing bullies, the one thing to remember is everyone has a weakness. Whether it's a physical weakness or a mental weakness, there is always a way to find a person's soft spot. All bullies have a soft spot, and Jerome Sticky Fingers Williams had his, and I was going to use his own weakness against him. He was a thief, and I was going to exploit that by setting a trap that would expose him. I figured that the items stolen were taken during gym class, so Jerome operated when no one was around to see him steal items. This was the 1980s, and personal pocket cell phones and cell phone cameras had not been invented yet. So, the next day when I came to school, I was armed with a small canister of itching powder. My father loved to play gags on his friends, and it was my turn to turn a gag party getter into a weapon to prove my innocence. I wore my birthday gift, an authentic Magic Johnson Lakers jersey and matching gym shorts. Jerome had made comments before that he liked the jersey and it was just his size. When he saw me in school wearing the Lakers jersey and saw how the kids reacted to the jersey, I knew Jerome had to steal the jersey. The Lakers had won the NBA championship the year before, and the jersey was a hot item. So, when gym class time came, and all the kids were changing into their clothes, I took off the jersey and shorts and then poured itching powder on all of them and put them in my locker. Just like clockwork, Jerome Sticky Fingers Williams raised his hand to go to the bathroom. He went straight to my locker to steal my jersey and shorts. He went in my locker and took the items and put them on under his gym clothes, and then came back out to continue activities in gym class. Once we started to practice basketball, Jerome started with a slow scratch on his right arm and then moved to scratch his left arm. Then he started to scratch his back. He then started to scratch his chest and then his legs. He was standing in the middle of the gym floor in front of all the kids, scratching like his body like crazy. Mr. Davis, the gym teacher, asked Jerome what is going on and why was he scratching so erratically. Jerome could not stop. He eventually scratched so much he started crying for help. He pulled off his gym clothes and that revealed my Lakers jersey and shorts. The whole gym class was silent. Asked him, why was he wearing my clothes? In all of his itching, he yelled I was going to steal them. Jerome then proceeded to ask me in front of the whole gym class, what is in your shorts that is making me itch like this? The whole gym erupted loudly and started to laugh at him, including Mary and Mr. Davis. Told him I had an antidote for his itching if he would admit in front of the whole gym class that it was him who stole the items from the girls' lockers the day before. Jerome Sticky Fingers Williams was itching so bad, he yelled it was him who stole the items out of the girls' locker room and that he was sorry and that could I please give him the antidote to stop the itching. The gym class started to chant in unison, thief, thief, thief. Mr. Davis asked him, did he have any other items that belonged to any of the other kids? Jerome said, yes, I have a watch in my locker. I will get it. But can you please give me the antidote to stop the itch? Please, he exclaimed. Told Jerome there isn't any antidote, but soap and water would do the trick. Lots of water. The whole gym laughed. Later that day, the principal, Mrs. Vernon, suspended Jerome for 5 days. Mrs. Vernon also called my mother to apologize. I received free lunch for 1 week. Mary got her watch back and was so happy she brought me a Lakers shirt years later. I didn't realize it that day, but I had just met my future soulmate.